One of the most important functions of this committee is oversight. Yes, we want to pass the right policies and make sure that they are adequately drafted and funded, that you have the resources and the direction you need. But then it's our responsibility to make sure these programs are being carried out as effectively as possible. So we look at today's hearing, which is to oversight the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program during COVID, and recognize that this was an incredible undertaking. On April the 24th, 2020, $50 billion of subsidy was provided for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program under COVID. On May the 7th, the Small Business Administration announced the program and imposed a $150,000 cap, even though this program under law allows for loans up to $2 million. The Trump administration decided to limit that to a $150,000 cap. We were not happy by that, and the members of this committee, as well as many members of the Senate, expressed our concern that that $150,000 cap was arbitrary, and we wanted to see that implemented at the full amount that Congress authorized at $2 million. But by July 20th, the SBA had entered into 3.1 million loans for $169 billion. I'll repeat that again, 3.1 million loans by July 20th. On April the 21st, under the Biden administration, April 21st of this year, the Biden administration increased the cap from $150,000 to $500,000, and then in September increased it to the full $2 million. We were all very pleased about that announcement, and we were very pleased that we were able to increase the total amounts available to the $2 million limit. The Biden administration deserves high marks for implementing the congressional intent at $2 million. The SBA administered a program, and now there is almost 4 million loans that have been issued under the COVID EIDL program. That's quite a record. Over the past 2 years, the SBA has transformed a relatively small and unknown program intended to support communities following natural disasters into one of the federal government's primary tools to combat the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic. The 3.9 million COVID EIDL loans the SBA has issued since April of 2020 are more than all the loans that have been issued during the entire history of the disaster loan program. Just tells you how much additional responsibilities the SBA took over and how they delivered on those programs. The EIDL loan program is a source of hope for small businesses. It's the critical capital they need during a pandemic. It provides a fixed rate, low interest, long-term capital that's absolutely essential for small businesses. They don't have the resiliency. This gives them the hope of being able to stay in business. In December of last year, December 31st, no new applications were allowed under law, and the SBA basically closed the process for new applications. Here's where the confusion and frustration comes down, on the winding down of the program. And here's where we are really baffled as to the way and information that we have received from the SBA. First, on April 28th of this year, the SBA said that funding was exhausted. On May 6th, they set the deadline for loan modifications, appeals, and denials for reconsideration. Yet on April the 11th, we were informed by the SBA that it had $1.3 billion of transferred funds from the American Rescue Plan and $1.2 billion available in regards to canceled loans. So we didn't understand that they gave the explanation on April the 28th that the SBA, that funding had been exhausted. They set a date of April 16th they sent out another notice on April 16th that all workable files have been processed. So what I'm confused about, we have a large number of small business owners that are in the process with their SBA EIDL loan receiving information from the SBA that they've exhausted funding and that all workable files have been made, and yet they haven't been notified in regards to their individual cases. On June 22nd, applications couldn't be processed because of lack of funds, another statement made by the SBA. Yet, in June, on a staff call with Administrator Kelly, we were informed that $800 million remained in the EIDL program. There's frustration and anger out there. We have 41,000 applicants who have never received determinations. We have 125 applicants that have been approved that haven't received their funds. Now, I can tell you, I talk to my state workers all the time that handle the calls from the small business community. They're my frontline workers. And they're small business owners that are really frustrated. They've gotten inconsistent information from the SBA. They believe their applications have never been litigated, never been completed, and they want to know why. They want a straight answer. As I said earlier, the small business community is the growth engine of our country. It's where innovation takes place. But small business owners don't have the same deep pockets and resiliency. They need to know what is going on with their applications. And if they're ineligible, then declare them ineligible. Let them handle it or take an appeal. But don't leave them in the lurch. So I hope that this hearing will have an opportunity to get answers to those questions and that we can have the completion of the EIDL loan program done in a way that represents the values of our committee and a policy that we developed and the values of the program that is so important to small businesses.